benefit. At the same time, though, we do have to be realistic and understand that not all parents are responsible enough to take their child's education under their own into their own hands, and not all Black parents are necessarily resourceful enough. And what I mean by that, we have most of our kids are being raised by single mothers who are doing a great job. But many of those single mothers are dealing with domestic violence issues. Some of them are dealing with mental health challenges, substance abuse challenges, medical issues. And so for some of our mothers, the only time they had an opportunity to take a break was when their children did go to school. And I'm concerned about those mothers because now your children are going to be with you all year. They've been with you for 5 months, and now they're going to be with you the entire upcoming school year. From a mental health perspective, Sister Ann, I am very concerned about our single mothers who are raising multiple children. Now, 1 child, 2 child, not a big issue. Children who are a little close to adulthood, not a big issue. But for those single mothers who are raising a 6-month-old and a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, I'm a little concerned about their psychological resources and their ability to hold up under this pressure.
Wow, definitely. Do you have any feeling or insight into how you feel Betsy DeVos has done for the educational system in this country?
Well, the ironic thing, and I'm glad you brought that point up, Betsy DeVos was selected by President Trump to be Secretary of Education in order to help dismantle public education. And to be honest with you, for their agenda, the Trump-DeVos educational agenda, COVID has been a blessing from hell for them because COVID is the perfect cover that you can use to eliminate public education. You can simply say it's not safe enough for kids to go back to school. Now, so under that pretext, I think they're very happy with what's going on. However, I also see that Donald Trump has received some backlash from the business community who desperately need to get their workers back on the job so that they can start producing for capitalism again. And so although there is this agenda to eliminate public education, at the same time is getting pushback because if you close down the schools, who's going to watch the children so that their parents can go to work and have their labor exploited by the corporations of America? That's the quagmire that Donald Trump is in. How do I shut down the schools and also get people back to work? It's going to be difficult to do both at the same time.
Wow. Do you think that children learn differently from women as opposed to men? Is there a because it's predominantly women right now?
I believe that children are socialized to learn differently. Although there is some neuroscience that suggests boys learn a little different, girls learn a little different. As someone who's been an educator, a school psychologist, I've tested generations of Black children of all colors for that matter, not just ours. And I can tell you that I think it gets exaggerated more often than not. Our children are socialized to learn. Girls are socialized to sit still. Boys are socialized to be active. Boys are socialized to be good at math. Girls are socialized to express their feelings, so they tend to be better in literature and expressing themselves through the written word. I think a lot of it is socialization versus genetics.
Wow, that is amazing. And the old thing that, you and I have talked about off air, John Amos said that your enemy can never educate your children. What are your feelings on that?
I totally agree with him. Your enemy will not only never educate your children, they will never teach. The oppressor will never teach the oppressed how to end their oppression. The oppressor will never teach the oppressed how to end their oppression. And as you and I have had this conversation before, Black America is an embarrassment. And we're an embarrassment because we wait around for presidential elections and we wait around arguing for reparations and we wait around for protesting and marching, but we do very little deliberately on our own in a proactive manner to create the reality that we want our children to live in. The reason why voting is so important to Black people has nothing to do with our ancestors dying for it, because our ancestors did not die to vote. They died for freedom. Voting was the tactic during their day and during their lifetime that they felt was most likely to lead to that freedom. But today, Black people have economic opportunity by way of the wealth and earning power that we have to the tune of $2 trillion. We don't have to wait around for the elections anymore. We have the ability to put systems in motion. We have the ability to put institutions in motion. Everyone now is talking about Kamala Harris and how Joe Biden chose her and her record on mass incarceration. I agree. Kamala Harris is no friend of Black people. Okay, she supported the 3 strikes and you're out. She was against police body cams. She was against independent investigations involving police shootings. Anything that could help lock Black people up, she supported it. And anything that could vindicate police, she supported it. She's the second coming of Obama, another mixed race Black face in a high place that totally doesn't identify with Black people. But why are we worried about that? Why are we not building our own schools, our own banks, our own hospitals, our own factories, our own supermarkets? I don't care about Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or Pence. What are we going to do for ourselves without waiting on white people to do it for us?
I think that's a $50 million question. Do you think if we start putting funds away in Black-owned banks so that they can have, we can have access to mortgages to buy back some of these vacant houses in the communities? What are your feelings? What should be the first step? I know you made one because you got to school.
Exactly. And I'm going to be honest, as I sit and I watch and I wait to your question, Sister Ann, for me, the school is the launch pad for everything that I feel that I need to do and everything I feel that we need to do. I mean, it's in a perfect location right there in Wilmington, the cross center of D.C., Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York. I mean, it's just a good place to be. And I'm really looking forward to that being the incubator. I'm looking forward to that being the Black Power Center where we can all come together under the same roof, unlimited time, don't have to worry about being pushed out to meet and plan all the things that we need to do. Let's organize and work with the Black farmers. Let's organize all of those who are in the banking, in the investment field. What we lack more now than ever as we celebrate 100 years of the red, black, and green flag, 100 years since Marcus Garvey's convention in New York City when they chose that red, black, and green flag, we need organization. Marcus Garvey told us 100 years ago that the greatest weapon used against Black people is disorganization. We are not organized, Sister Ann. Parents are not organized. Women are not organized. Men are not organized. Teachers are not organized. We are not organized. And in this day and time, the most organized groups of people will dominate those who are not organized. We are not in the position we're in because we're Black. As Garvey said, we're in the position we're in because we're disorganized.
Wow. We have a caller, Dr. Umar. Would you like to take that?
Sure.
Okay, caller, you're on.
Yes, I'm listening to the conversation. And first of all, in Black America, I'm not embarrassed. You said Black Americans are embarrassed. Maybe an embarrassment to you, but I'm not embarrassed. And first of all, to get one devil off my neck, I'll vote for Mr. Biden and Mrs. Harris because I think they're still a better choice than what we have. And as far as her not being a friend of Black America, that I think has already been established because most of us look at her record and know she had a job to do and know that as far as her job as vice president, she's a far better choice for us than what we have in there. And until we have enough babies to take over the population, then in reference to teaching ourselves and stuff, until that, ruling over ourselves, until that happens, we still have many programs of people who are positively working toward uplifting us as a group and also doing better things in this country.
Caller, let me ask you a question. Is it not embarrassing when you see so many of our disenfranchised Black young people that have been reduced to standing on the corners bombarding cars to clean your windows, when you see the Hispanic with his young children going from house to house, doing flooring, doing roofing, teaching them trades, teaching them skills, teaching them things that you will not see. You will not see a group of black men. I just saw a neighbor get a roof done. It seems to me I saw some 10 and 12-year-olds up there with their dad looking at how they did that roof. Now, I don't know if the people were illegal. I don't know what the situation is. But it actually hurts my heart when I see these young kids out in the street, black people, swarming your cars for pennies, when we have black men out here who are advocating for something better than that.
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you this. You still, in many communities, you have people that do that among us. And I'm going to tell you something. You'll never hear a white man say he's ashamed of Jesse James.
In police, nothing we got through voting. So for those black people who still believe, despite no proof at all after 100 years of voting, that we can achieve something by putting people in office who have no history of doing anything for black people, then let them go ahead and live their fantasies.
Okay, we have another caller. Go ahead, sir or ma'am. Caller?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Steve. First and foremost, I'd like to say this is a powerful and excellent conversation, and I agree with what was just said. I agree with that totally. All right, now, I truly believe the number one thing that we have to do to progress, we have to get the black family in order. We have to do that. Without that, we're going to just keep repeating the same thing over and over. Now, it is embarrassing, yes it is, when you see these young black kids out here trying to clean a window and begging for change. Okay? It is embarrassing when you see that we are going nowhere. What have we done? The plan is we have to get the family in order. And without the family in order, we're going nowhere. What they did back then, keep the black man out of the house, keep daddy out of the house, lock him up. Our black females are so depressed, they're always arguing with us. A black man, unfortunately, and I'm a black man, it gets to the point where you're trying to keep the household together, but you can't keep taking all of this criticism. You can't keep taking all of this argument. And most black men, they just escape the route, I'm out of here, and forget about their family, which is unforgivable. But at the same time, we really need mental health in our families. We need mental health. I don't understand how come we can't fix our own neighborhoods. You understand? Now, as far as education, how come we can't reach out to these black universities and ask these young folks and try to make a way for them to get a couple of dollars to tutor some of our children? It is embarrassing that we have to look for Caucasian people and basically beg them for help. We basically begging them for help when we can do all of this stuff ourselves. One more thing I just want to say: these Latinos bring their kids out, they teaching them things. What do we do? Honestly, I just like to say this is a wonderful conversation, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. We have another caller. Go ahead, sir or ma'am.
Yes, I'd like to ask Dr. Johnson about the information he put out about rap songs, being people focusing on materialism, disrespectful women.
Are you on a speakerphone by any chance? Because there's a little bit of echo.
Yes, let me take it. Yeah. Let me try to fix that situation. No, I'm not on speaker. I have my earphones in my ear.
Okay, well, take that off then, because it's not coming through. Are you in an empty room, caller?
Is that better?
Well, we just want to go ahead with your question. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I'd like to for Dr. Johnson to comment about the situation here. He had commented in reference to the rap music industry encouraging black men to put this gangster rap out. I am so fed up with the black killings in Baltimore. I like to hear his connection to the rap music and the black killings, and also Hidden Cause 1, 2, and 3. You did excellent job.
Yes, he did.
My brother. With regard to the gangster rap piece, and let me also say, Sister Ann, for those listeners who are listening who expressed an interest in wanting to donate, they can just get on their Cash App and donate to $FDMG School on the Cash App. So that's $FDMG School on the Cash App. And of course, that stands for Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey School. Here's the thing. The rappers are not helping us. In fact, they're hurting us because they're advertising the very same behaviors and lifestyle that lead to self-destruction and mass incarceration. They are literally the soundtrack for the destruction of the black family. Gangster rap is the soundtrack for the destruction of the black family. With that being said, though, let us not scapegoat them and avoid holding professional black men accountable, because they are the real reasons that our sons are looking to the gangsters and the athletes in the first place, because the doctors moved out the ghetto, the lawyers moved out the ghetto, the engineers moved out the ghetto, the teachers moved out the ghetto. How many professional black men do you see living in the inner city? Not many of them. So they are the reason that our sons are depending on rappers for examples of manhood.
I think that's about right, because I grew up with doctors in the neighborhood, and you don't see it now.
Yeah, I will be making a contribution to your efforts to get this black school going. Thank you, Dr. Johnson, and the host. Appreciate your information.
You're welcome. And that, if you'd like to donate, is $FDMG School. So okay. He did say an interesting point about the killings in the neighborhood. Do you think that probably comes from the whole gangster mentality as well?
Miseducation is the mother of all violence. Economic castration is the father of all violence. The third contributor is self-hatred and the legacy of slavery. So until we give our children an education that prepares them on how to succeed in this world, and until we give them an economic opportunity to actually succeed, and until we work on the petty differences that keep black people separated, we'll never overcome community violence. It is three-pronged: miseducation, economic castration, and psychological devastation.
A hard one to hit, and he did have a point. You know, it's for a lot of women to qualify for social services. If they have another income with a man being in the house, that means they're going to have to pay out more or do more or whatever. But we don't want to mistake that with the fact that there's actually, I believe, more white people on these programs than black people. One other point I want to make with President Obama, I think that, you know, when Obama became president, he said, I want to be president of all the people. And, you know, they fought him tooth and nail with everything. When Trump came in, there was no mistaking about who he was president for. He didn't care. It was like the racist dream. No black cabinet members, with the exception of Ben Carson, which didn't make sense to put him over housing when he's a healthcare official. It's just like he just said, look, I'm going to take care of my people, and that's it. And I kind of would like to see a president do a hard shift from that. Do you not agree, Dr. Umar, or you think it will not make a difference?
Here's the problem with that, Sister Ann. Here's the problem with that. If Biden and Kamala go in there, they're going to give black people a false sense of comfort. The war is not going to stop against us because it never has, not since 1619 and before that. But we will feel more comfortable with a Democratic president and a blackface vice president. And to me, I would rather the enemy I can see as opposed to the enemy that hides behind a false facade of caring about everybody. To me, they are just as dangerous, although in a different way, than Donald Trump is, because Joe Biden's history of supporting black people is as bad as Trump's. There is no difference. And this is where I believe the denial, and I'll make this quick, the denial that we have as a people, we know none of them care about us, but we don't want to take responsibility for ourselves. And as a result of that, we force ourselves into believing the Democrats care, even though they're the reasons why we have a mass incarceration problem today. That came under Lyndon Baines Johnson and Bill Clinton, two Democratic presidents.
Wow. Well, I do think you hit the nail right on the head. One thing that Trump did, if he did anything good for anybody, he woke people up, because you know that you have a president in the White House that could give 2 cents about the fact that you're black or having a hard time in this country. We have another caller. Caller, what's your question for myself or Dr. Umar?
Yes, good afternoon, Sister Ann and Brother Dr. Umar Johnson, Leo Burr.
I recognize that voice. How are you, Brother Leo?
Yes, you set a high bar, Dr. Johnson, and a shining example of self-determination, and we applaud you for that. Just a few quick comments with regard to the squeegees and the embarrassment reflective of these youngsters scrounging up money, squeegeeing windshields, has a lot to do with a lack of leadership on the part of the black adult community insofar as how we show them a positive entrepreneurial direction through job training and apprenticeship programs, etc. So we need to do better, and I concur with that. The mayor has an office of economic development that should have a youth works program, a year-round youth works program. Right now, Dr. Johnson, this mayor and this city has a 5-week summer jobs program and spends most of its money with the corporate sector and not with placing those monies in the hands of our people. Again, I applaud what you say with regard to self-determination, and with regard to politics, I see the Democrats and Republicans as two wings of the same bird. I would utilize politics only to the extent that it is a tactical methodology and strategy for mobilizing people around a specific goal, tactic, or project at a given time. But we have to be focused in the way that you and Ann have talked about today, and we've got to do more and we've got to do better. So, again,
let me let Dr. Johnson address something, because I think, you correct me, Dr. Johnson, if I'm wrong, I think you're going to have trades that are being taught at some point at your school, too, because we also know that, I had a plumber come out last week, and he was like, $45, $55 an hour, and he was an apprentice.
That's right.
So I think
Absolutely.
that your school could be addressing that. You want to speak to that?
Absolutely. Once we get to the high school level, because as I've shared before, we're probably going to start with 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade because those are the grades when our boys tend to experience a psychological dropout. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. That's when they start growing into the boys that their white teachers have been taught to fear. They're not the cute little cuddly do whatever you tell them to do. They start becoming their own person. And so that's when we want to get them right at that point where they start being criminalized. And then we're going to grow up a grade every single year until we have the entire pre-K through 12. And I do have plans for a junior college as well after that. But to get to the point, yes, we will have the trades eventually. We will have to build them. We will have to raise the money to implement those systems into the school, but that is definitely a part of the FDMG model. We have to get back to teaching our young men and women how to earn a living with your hands. We should have never gotten away from it. And as a result of that, we now see that the Latinos, the Mexicans, the Arabs, the East Indians, the Chinese, they are literally taking over the trades. When you look across the cities, a lot of the construction work, if it's not being outright done by white people, you are increasingly seeing licensed Mexican and licensed Chinese carpenters, plumbers, and electricians doing that work. We should have never sent all of our children off to college. Instead, we should have sent some of them off to learn how to build the college.
And Dr. Johnson, we have socialized our young people and others not to think in terms of protecting and defending themselves, their children, families, and communities. We've been told that going to war on behalf of this country simply means protecting the country against its enemies, foreign and domestic, and you can lynch us and we don't fight back. That's very interesting, isn't it? Psychologically.
It is very interesting.
I want to make one point here because recently I had to watch a gun training film. And do you know who did the film? A 7-year-old white girl locked and loaded and shot every form of weapon and knew the correct stance. We are not 7-year-old little white girls knew how to handle a sidearm, had everything. So we definitely are not teaching our children the art of self-defense or weapons safety training. And from what I see, you have to assume everyone is locked and loaded at this point in time.
Keep up good work. God bless you.
Thank you. Well said. And Sister Ann, here's the question. The question I would have for the Trump camp or the Biden camp, and the Trump camp doesn't even care to answer the question, as you've already stated, because he's so unapologetically racist, you know, that he's probably going to go down in history as one of, we've had a lot of racist presidents, though, but I think he will go down in the top 12. I think he will be one of the 12 most unapologetically publicly racist. See, and that's the difference. He's publicly racist. We haven't had a lot of publicly racist presidents. George W. Bush, the son, he was racist, but even he wasn't as publicly racist as Donald Trump is. He did get caught on camera with comments surrounding the Hurricane Katrina crisis, saying some things, but I don't think he intended it to be caught on camera, whereas Trump doesn't care. There's a few presidents who will go down as a more open racist than Trump, but I think he will definitely make the top 10. And I think he's trying to do it on purpose. And I think black people need to take some responsibility for his behavior, too. Donald Trump would not be this irresponsible with his tongue when it comes to issues of race had black people held Barack Obama more accountable. We showed Donald Trump that you can get away with doing almost anything you want to do with black people because Barack Obama did. Barack Obama sat by and did nothing about the police killings. He did nothing about the police shootings. He did nothing about the growing mass incarceration rates. He did nothing about miseducation, nothing at all. And black America refused to hold him accountable. So let's be honest. Trump's behavior is partly motivated by the example we taught him during the Obama presidency.
Well, you know, the Tea Party showed that, you know, we can have a racist president like that. You know, the Trump, aside from waking a lot of black people up to realize you have no friend in the White House, it's the thing that really bothers me is I have white friends. They are unapologetic Trump supporters, and they're evangelical flag raising. You know, I'm to the point now when I see an American flag, I don't know whether that's symbolic of races or if that's something that's really meant to be proud of. So it's just really interesting. Engineer, did you say we had another caller? Okay. So the thing about it is Trump is just and there's a lot of black Trump supporters too. I don't exactly get that, but the white Trump supporters, I mean, they believe some of I've never seen a person turn so much stuff that just made sense around. If you say it's something about him, he'll just flip it back on you. takes responsibility for nothing. And I think with Obama, he went in there saying, I want to be president of all the people. Trump went in there saying, I'm your president. If you are a white racist person, I'm your boy. And I'm going to get in here. And I think that he has got in and torn the country up from the inside out. And that is, I think, something to fear. They care nothing about his collusion.
Right. But to your point, though, we also got to be conscious of something. Black people knew, or should have known, that once Obama left office, no matter who the president was going to be, there was going to be a backlash. We saw the exact same thing happen when Lyndon Baines Johnson left office, and you got hit with a succession of Republican presidents and a succession of Southern presidents. There's always a backlash whenever white America perceives for there to have been some progress for black people. There's always a backlash. That ain't the problem. The fact that Trump is an open racist ain't the problem, because as far as I'm concerned, all white people are racist. So I'm not surprised. The problem is we didn't get a single concession out of his predecessor. We knew this was coming. And yet and still we celebrated Obama while he did absolutely nothing for black people. We still celebrate him, even though he did nothing for black. In fact, the fact that you got black people like your earlier caller who said, I'm still going to go out and vote for Kamala Harris because it's better to have her than Trump. That's the same mentality we use for Barack Obama. Let me say this and let me be clear. Black people are the only people in America who vote to stop someone else from doing something. We're the only people who do that. We vote out of fear. It is a fear to protect something from what this guy might do. White people don't vote out of fear. Chinese, nobody votes out of fear. Everybody else votes because they're expecting to receive something. I'm voting for you for a particular set of concessions. Black people are the only people who vote who don't get no concessions, are not expecting any resources or concessions. And when people say, why did we vote? Well, I wanted to make sure he didn't get in. We're the only people who vote like that. And that's why we don't get anything for our vote. Cornel West and Tavis Smiley out and out criticized Obama. And here's the ironic thing about that. Their opinions aren't even required in the Trump administration. They are almost obsolete. He doesn't care. Anything he don't have to.
It wouldn't amount to a hill of beans.
Remember now, for the past 50 years, racism had to go underground. It never stopped, but you couldn't be publicly racist anymore if you were white. They had to do away with that because it was killing America's image at home and abroad. Donald Trump, Barack Obama, by him becoming president, it gave a false sense of progress for black people. And that false sense of progress created an illusion of equality. So now people will say black people have gotten all they needed. They even had a president. We don't have to hide our racist opinions anymore because we're equal. You and I know it's not true. But guess what? A lot of other people don't know it's true. Donald Trump is only possible because you had a black president. He would have never won if you didn't have a black president. Donald Trump is the response to Barack Obama, which is why I am never interested in seeing another black president as long as I live, for three reasons. One, we're not going to hold him accountable. We're going to worship him, and we're not going to hold him accountable. Two, we are not organized enough to demand anything from them. And number three, when they get out of office, you're going to always be hit with a white backlash. It happened with Abraham Lincoln. It happened with Lyndon Baines Johnson. It happened with Barack Obama. There's no need for a do-nothing black president when you're going to get hit with a white racist right after he leaves office.
Well, they will say he put the Affordable Care Act on the
But that was for America. That wasn't for black people. Donald Trump just signed a historic Hispanic prosperity bill 2 weeks ago. I want all your listeners to please go look up the Donald Trump Hispanic prosperity bill for education and economics. The Hispanics are getting specific help from Donald Trump. The homosexuals got specific help from Barack Obama. Why do we have to settle for things that are done for all of America? Where are the things that should have been done just for the people who built America, the black people?
So what's your stance on reparations then, in terms of something tangible?
But like, here's my thing. Number one, we are not using the money we already have responsibly. What are we begging for more for when we're not even doing justice by the money we already have? That's number one. Number two, we have this sick mindset that suggests reparations is only for black people living today. Reparations is for all of us, those who came over on those ships, those who lived before, and those who will live after. Guess what, Sister Ann? I haven't heard a single reparations proponent say anything about leaving some money for those children who are going to be born for generations after us. I only hear people talking about us. Number three, I do not think we are the generation that should be fighting for reparations. We are irresponsible. We are unaccountable. We are undisciplined. We should save that fight for a better generation of black folks. We are not the ones who should be fighting for that. We are not the ones.
Wow. Well, the thing is, I think the guy that owned Ebony magazine, I think somebody just came up with... Bob
Johnson of BET came up with a reparations package where each African American, I think, is going to get, according to his plan, is going to receive approximately $350,000 payout. And that multiplied by 50 million blacks, actually 42 when you minus the immigrant Africans. And that will be the reparations package. Sister Ann, can I ask you a question? Is $350,000, let me ask you, is $350,000 check, do you feel that is a sufficient enough payment, restitution, for all of your ancestors and the hell that they caught and the fact that they built this country without pay to include all of the systematic injustices you have faced since slavery ended? It's $350,000, which is nothing more than a house and a car. Is that enough for you to close your mouth about?
I don't even know if it's enough for a house for me, but it's probably not. Probably not.
And that's his plan. And my problem, Sister Ann, is most of the black people who are talking about reparations are not studied enough, well-read enough, visionary enough, and selfless enough to be arguing this situation. I did a live stream on reparations. I'm going to probably do it again because a couple people asked me to do it again. When I talked about reparations and the things that we need to be demanding in this reparations fight. And one of the things that I said, Sister Ann, is that all of the inventions that black people invented in America, everything that we invented that was stolen from us has to be returned to us, including black music. Nobody can make money off black music except black people. Do you know what that would do for us, Sister Ann? Music is America's second largest export. Music is America's second largest export, and hip-hop is the most influential music form in the world. Do you know what we could do for ourselves if we could only control our music?
Tremendous amount. So if I hear you correctly, we're talking about schools, we're talking about our own hospital, we're talking about our own hotels, because we know that the Indians have taken over the hotel industry. We know that the Dunkin' Donuts, the franchises. So we're talking about putting black people in a position where they can shot call and not beg for money, and that $300 and something $100,000 would not be enough. But see, I think the mentality of the person you're talking to, we're talking to people that if you put $200 or $500 in their pocket, they're good with that. So this is where we're struggling from. None of us are really used to seeing real money, or what that feels like, or generational wealth. I know that there's people out there trying to make a difference with that. I mean, as you can go to the tax sale, people are losing their houses that they should be they should be passing on to their children. They are basically, just losing them. But Dr. Umar, I need to make one thing, and then I'm going to let you make some closing remarks here. Next week, Rachel Goza is going to be my show guest, so you guys make sure you tune in for that. Support RNA Movers, my company, 410-888-9311. And by all means, support Dr. Umar, $FDMG. Dr. Umar, I'm going to let you take a minute and close us out. And I appreciate your time, as always.
Thank you. I just want to let folks know if they need to reach me, 215-989-9858. They can send a text message, 215-989-9858. Again, get on your Cash App, $ FDMG School, or you can mail in your donation, and the information is on my website, DrUmarJohnson.com.
Dr. Umar, you blessed us again today, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Will do, Queen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.